Hello, I'm Bill Shaw, your host for STV Presents. This is a pilot show for a series written and produced entirely by students at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at the Big Buddy program sponsored by the Campus Y here at UNC. We'll also look at the Ackland Art Museum's 25th anniversary, as well as a lighthearted look at Homecoming '83. In the first segment, we turn our spotlight to the Campus Y and the Big Buddy program. So let's join John Wilson now at the Campus Y.
The Campus Y is well known for being both service-oriented and downright fun, and the spirit of the organization is exemplified by the Big Buddy program. We will now take a close look at the structure of the program with its co-chairman, and then meet a pair who seem to enjoy it quite a bit. With me are James Keith Brown and Andy Garner, co-directors of the Campus Y Big Buddy program. Andy, what is the Big Buddy program?
The Big Buddy program is a student outreach program to children in the Chapel Hill or Carver area who are from underprivileged homes or from broken families, or they just need a special friend or a role model. The program was started at the Campus Y about 5 years ago with somewhere around 40 pairs, and now it's about 150 pairs.
Who can be a Big Buddy?
Well, any student at the university can be a Big Buddy. All they need is a desire and the commitment to develop a relationship with a child, and the commitment to see them every week and keep that commitment. To be a Big Buddy, you have to go to an information meeting and then fill out an application and then go through an interview process before being matched.
What sort of questions do you ask them in the interview process?
In the interview process, we're mainly trying to pull out the characteristics, their personal qualities, so that we can match them with the little buddies, because we're trying to match characteristics with characteristics. You wouldn't want a shy Big Buddy with a shy little buddy, because that wouldn't foster a good relationship. And so we're just trying, it's not a competitive type application, it's just the type where we can, to the best of our abilities, match big buddies with little buddies and make it a good relationship.
James Keith, where do you get the names of children who may be in need of a Big Buddy?
The names of the kids come from the counselors in the Chapel Hill Carver School area. They're between the ages of 6 and 12. And on each referral sheet that the counselors fill out on the kids, they tell us the different needs they have. They could be social, academic, emotional, the various needs. And from those referral sheets, we take the interviews that Andy's spoken of and try to match up compatibility between the Big Buddy and little buddies. Like Andy said, we don't want to match up extroverts and two extroverts or two introverts together. We want to get compatibility.
Right. What do you as the directors do once the initial pairings of Big and Little Buddies have been completed?
After we've paired them, we usually have workshops with different psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers who come and talk about problems to the new Big Buddies, about problems they might run into as a Big Buddy. We also have group leader meetings, which this year we have 2 group leaders, and they'll be conducting like rap sessions where they can discuss any problems that they're running into, and a lot of the Big Buddies can help each other because most of the time they've all had the same problems. And we also have activities which are planned all during the year, such as Halloween parties where you get to be a kid again, and Christmas parties and Easter egg hunts. And last year we had one that was really good with the basketball players come and sign certain autographs, for the little kids and stuff, and it really turned out really well.
What sort of problems, Andy, do you sometimes come across in Big Little Buddy relationships?
Well, as much as we like to think that it's always loads of fun and a great experience for all the Big Buddies and little buddies, there are some problems that can arise. For instance, one of the most crucial parts of the program is that first meeting that the Big Buddy has with the little buddy and his parents. It's very important that the Big Buddy establishes good relations with the parents, because the parents dictate whether the kid goes out or not. Secondly, I think the kids sometimes see the Big Buddies as a bank, in the sense that they feel like that their Big Buddy's going to buy them gifts, basketballs, whatever. A final thing that I can think of is just sometimes, as much as we like to think that our interview process is foolproof, we don't match that well. And so for that reason, the Big Buddy and Little Buddy may not be compatible. And so if that's the case, and we'll have to go through the process again and try to match another Big Buddy with a Little Buddy.
Right. What do you hope for in the future of the Big Buddy program?
We hope to continue to have this program as being beneficial to the Big Buddy and to the Little Buddy, and meeting the kids' needs in the area. And also, we're not looking for the quantity right now. We're working on the quality of the interactions and making sure that the kids' needs are met, since it is for them.
What happens if a big buddy wishes to discontinue his serving as a big buddy?
Well, we do keep all the applications on file, and realizing that sometimes it doesn't work out, we'll try to match another big buddy with a little buddy.
Thank you both very much, and I'd like to wish you the best of luck in the future. Let's now go meet a very special big buddy pair.
There you go. Oh, so close.
Let's get to know a little bit more about the Big Buddy program by talking to Robert Kelly and Rico McLeod about their relationship.
Oh, come on, Rico. It's your chance.
How did you get Rico?
Well, having volunteered my services to the Campus Y, they called me forward for an interview, sort of screening process. And they really did a very rigorous job. You know, they tried to find out as much about me as possible, about my interests, about how much time I had to devote to the child, and what I hope. They asked me what I hoped to get out of the program. So, and then they went and looked in their files, and they did ask me what sort of child I wanted, whether I wanted a young one, because I think they go as young as about 7 or 8, or one of the older children. And I said, just give me what you consider to be your most pressing need, bearing in mind what you think I can give the child.
Right.
And they pulled out his name, Rico McLeod, and they told me a little bit about him, as much as they knew from the school and from what his mother had told them, and gave me his address. And
How did you answer the question, what do you hope to get out of the program?
I just told them that I wanted to try and provide some sort of companionship for the child, some sort of role model, because I know a lot of these kids are from single-parent families or from divorced families,
right.
and that many of them don't have that sort of parental role model either on the father or the mother's side. How often do I come and take you out?
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday. And but sometimes if there's a weekend that I can't make it, if I'm out of town, do you get mad at me, or do you just figure that I'll come see you during the week or something?
Like on Sundays.
Yeah, I'll come Sundays. But we normally manage to see each other, about at least once a week, wouldn't you say? Yeah? Even if it means I have to come pick you up after school. The few problems that we had at the beginning were in part my fault as well, because to begin with, I made the mistake of buying him things, not big things, but little things. And what I, didn't take notice of was the fact that he'd go home and expect the same things from his mother. The first few times I'd take Rico out, and he would obviously have a very good time. And then when it came time to take him back and give him back to his mother, he'd burst into tears.
Right.
And that was also very depressing for me. I felt like a real louse just leaving him to sort of sob to his mother.
Sure.
And so that was a little difficult, but I've learned a lot since then. Like now, the only time I'll ever take him uptown is to buy him an ice cream. We never go near any shops. Most of the things we do are outdoors things, and if I do have to spend money, I'll make sure he doesn't know I spent it.
This is the deciding goal.
So when it's a Saturday in the morning, we come over here to eat to the fraternity. We eat brunch. Then what do we do?
Go see the football game.
Which football game?
Carolina.
Carolina. And who's your favorite team?
Duke.
Duke! Yeah, I knew you meant Carolina. Hey, you may want to straighten that out for all those folks out there. Tell them you were just kidding when you said Duke.
Not just kidding.
There must be quite a bit of culture shock, you living in London and Rico in Carrboro. Could you describe that, please?
Yeah, that was a little strange to start out with, because especially with his mother not being too sure about the program and Rico not really knowing what was going on. That would have been, fair enough if they just had your average North Carolinian come pick him up. But with this guy walked in with a strange accent, his mother was like a little sort of whoa, and Rico said, where's this guy from? He didn't really have a concept of where I was from, the idea of being from across the Atlantic. What's your favorite thing to do?
Play soccer.
Play soccer, that's right. You're a real good soccer player, aren't you?
Great stuff. 5 in a row. Let's try beat 5.
What do we normally do just before you go home when I take you out? Hey?
We go eat ice cream.
We go eat ice cream, that's right. You'd forgotten about that, hadn't you? Don't you like going to get ice cream? Yeah, you do. But you make such a mess when you eat ice cream. Why do you make such a mess? Hey?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're just a messy person, that's why. Okay. Rico, in a year's time, I'm not going to be here. Remember? I told you about that? That, you come to university for 4 years, and then I have to go away. Maybe I'll go back to England, where I come from. What do you think's going to happen then? when I go. Do you think you'll still have a big buddy? Do you think there'll be someone there to take over? Or do you think by then you won't need a big buddy, you'll be old enough to sort of, you know, do it on your own? What do you think? I mean, we got to think about this, Rico.
I do it on my own.
You'll do it on your own. Would you want another big buddy after me? You would? So, is that what you're hoping? Is when I have to leave that they'll find you another big buddy? But you just said you could do it on your own. Which do you want to do? Because by then you'll be 9 years old. That's a pretty big boy. But why would you want another big buddy? Hey?
Because they take me places.
Because they take you places. So, you mean if you didn't have a big buddy, you wouldn't get to go to these places otherwise? I see. That's a fair enough reason.
Quite a pair. For the next few weeks, the Ackland Art Museum will be celebrating its silver anniversary. STV would like to take a look at the Ackland past, present, and future, so let's go over to the front steps of the museum with Dori Pense.
UNC's Ackland Art Museum is celebrating its 25th anniversary this month with a special exhibition. Collections which have been on the university's campus prior to the museum's opening in 1958 show a special history of the Ackland. Today we will view that exhibit with museum director Ennis Shoemaker and briefly discuss a history of the Ackland with former director Joseph Sloan. This is Dr. Ennis Shoemaker, who has been director of the Ackland since May. Dr. Shoemaker, what types of collections are in this exhibition?
Well, we decided for the 25th anniversary of the Ackland that we would gather together 6 of the collections that had been on the university's campus 25 years ago when the Ackland opened. So it's a great variety of things that we're showing here.
And how did the idea for this exhibition originate?
Well, that came about actually last winter. We were working on the introduction to the handbook, which we've just published for the 25th anniversary, and Evan Turner, who was then the director, was doing research on the history of the Ackland for part of the introduction that he was writing. And we realized when he was working on it that actually there had been a great deal of interesting work on the campus when the museum opened 25 years ago, and that really not a great deal had been done to investigate what the collectors had done in forming these collections and what kinds of works actually took part in building up these. So we decided that we would gather them together and do an exhibition for the 25th.
Okay. Shall we have a look at that collection?
The earliest collections that were on the university's campus were the 2 portrait collections of the Dialectic and Philanthropic societies, which were 2 very early debating societies, and they really established a history of collecting in North Carolina portraiture. As early as 1821, the Philanthropic Society began collecting portraits, and this is an example by the artist Thomas Sully of a portrait of President Polk. It was actually painted in the Red Parlor of the White House in 1847. Interestingly enough, this portrait of John Young Mason, who was the Attorney General for President Polk, was done at exactly the same time as Thomas Sully painted Polk. The 2 of them were painted at the same time in the White House, and the 2 portraits were delivered in Chapel Hill in 1847, just before President Polk delivered an address at the commencement at the university in 1847. Another collection that we have that is now part of the Ackland Art Museum is a collection of prints that belong to the alumnus Dr. W.P. Jaycox, who was not only a collector of prints, but also had an extensive collection of celery vases, which are like glass vases that were part of the 19th century table setting to hold stalks of celery. We have in the exhibition 30 of the 650 celery vases that Dr. Jaycox collected, which are now kept in a vault in the Wilson Library.
And what did you think of today's exhibit?
Oh, I thought it was wonderful.
What would you like to see the Ackland do in the future?
Well, I'd like to see them acquire some collections that go around the country. Not acquire them, but just have them shown here.
It's too bad they don't have more money to buy something good of the big people they have.
What would you like to see?
I'd like to see more modern. I'd like to see some Mondrian or something really harsh.
Could you discuss your future plans for the museum?
The director's first responsibility, of course, is always to the permanent collection, and in the Ackland Art Museum's case, we have a great potential for expanding our collection because we have a rather substantial acquisitions budget for acquisitions that was left by William Hayes Ackland and also Mr. Whitaker. So that one of the things which I'll be doing a great deal with is doing some traveling, going to dealers, and working on trying to find some new additions to the permanent collection, which we have been really aggressively pursuing in the past few years. The other plan that I have is in the immediate future to work on trying to renovate this building, which has now been vacated by the art department. The art department moved in January into its beautiful new building next door, and the wing on the back of the Ackland building, which was formerly occupied by the department, was vacated by them. It's primarily an area that was a classroom space, library, and slide room area, and this eventually, we hope, will be renovated into a full-scale functioning museum with galleries, with areas where people can come and study prints, with areas where students can really become more involved in seeing the collection. We have a great deal in storage now because we have been expanding the collection so aggressively in the past few years, and one of the main things we want to do is to be able to let people see it and to allow the students and allow our public really to become much more involved with what we have and be able to have many more programs and larger exhibitions. I think maybe the best thing to do would be maybe just go take a look at what's there and talk a little more about what our potential for growth is. This will give you some idea of all the empty space that we have here that we still can't fill with all of our collection. This is part of the area where the art department had its offices, and you can hear from the echo, I think, just how empty it is. We had 2 years ago an architect from Winston-Salem draw up plans for the total renovation of this building, which would incorporate from the front door all the way through this back wing. I'm going to be working with the university and the development office in the next few years trying to work out exactly how we're going to go about renovating this building, because we actually must raise the funds to do it.
Now that the art department has moved out of this building, has that had any effect on student involvement in the Ackland?
I've been discussing this quite a bit with the new chairman of the art department, and we are trying to evolve ways in which the students can make more use of the Ackland's collection through courses. I'm also trying to get people over to look at our print collection and to think of different kinds of ways in which the students can become involved in our exhibition program in different kinds of ways. I'm hoping that by the time we get our new small gallery open in the back at the end of this winter, more and more students will come over here and see what our situation is and maybe get involved in our plight for trying to raise funds to renovate the building. One of the things too that I feel very strongly about too is that the Ackland is for all of the students of the university and all of the different departments. Not only is it an art department museum, but it is something which we hope that students in many other departments will become involved in, and we're working very hard to try and keep more and more students coming to the Ackland and getting involved in the different kinds of things we're trying to work out to attract them.
Well, thank you, Dr. Shoemaker. We wish you the best of luck in your celebration and continued success in the future.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Dr. Joseph Sloan, director of the Ackland from 1958 to 1978. Dr. Sloan, it must be very fulfilling to see the Ackland celebrating its 25th anniversary.
Oh, indeed. Fulfilling and a little surprising. I didn't know that 25 years had actually gone by. But it's come a long way in the time of those 25 years, and I'm very proud of it, as you could imagine. Mm-hmm. I think the university's proud of it, too, so that's good.
Well, what did you think of today's exhibit?
You know, it's stuff like this that makes me proud. I go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I mean, it's good things. The students get to go in and see things that they're not normally exposed to, like just walking down Franklin Street and stuff. So I thought it was very nice.
I love to spend the Sunday this way, you know, to just kind of casually drop by. the Ackland and see what goes on. I don't really plan my outing that much, and it makes me feel like I'm in a big city somehow, that you can just kind of walk around and stop by. And I like the arts very much, and I find myself, I know I can't be disappointed.
Is there anything in particular you'd like to see the Ackland do in the future?
Well, just more things. I mean, the more things they can bring in, different things, that'd be great.
How did the university acquire the William Hayes Ackland Endowment?
Well, it's a long and very complicated story, which we really can't go into here, but in a nutshell, the thing was originally offered to Duke University after Mr. Ackland's death in 1940, but Duke declined it for reasons, I guess, best known to themselves. And that left Mr. Ackland virtually without a will. But there was an earlier will in which the university was mentioned, and they made a great bid to qualify. And after a long case, which is now a very famous one in the District of Columbia, the court held that the University of North Carolina should get the use of the money. And with a portion of his money, the present building was built. And the rest of it is an endowment, chiefly for the purchase of works of art. There is another endowment, the Whitaker Trust, the income from which is used also, so that between the two of them, the Ackland has really a very substantial sum of money for purchase, which is just as well, because North Carolina alumni and so on really weren't collectors, and almost everything that's in it has been bought, with a few notable exceptions, which we haven't got time to go into. So we have had enough money to buy really first-class things. That, however, is getting to be more difficult now because the price of art has gone up. So,
Well, what were some of the highlights of your years at the Ackland?
well, I guess the major highlight, other than the opening, which I can certainly remember, which was a show of the work from other collegiate museums, which was a nice way to start out. But the first purchase, which was the Great Dellacroix that we have one of the great paintings by this French romantic master of the 19th century, one of the best ones in the country. And I used to go around seeing these dealers, and they'd say, what do you want? What are you interested in? I said, I don't know, I haven't got anything. And as soon as we had something, then that began to crystallize it, and we began to work from there. But that, I think, was really a really great moment. Then we sort of found by accident in Paris really a magnificent Spanish head of the Virgin, which I think is the biggest bargain I ever got. But all along, I guess it was the acquisition and watching the thing grow, and eventually discovering that all the museums of the world were interested in what we had. We've shown our pictures in Canada and the United States and England and France, all around the world. We were known all the way to Japan. It's very nice.
Well, have you continued involvement in the Ackland after your retirement?
Not much. I have a horror of breathing down the neck of my successors, but Mr. Turner, when he was director, was very kind and used to show me things he was considering, and that was fun. And I go to the openings and obviously go to see the shows with great attention. But I just look on it from a slight distance and enjoy that and take the pleasure in it that they do.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sloan. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
You're most welcome.
As we see, the Ackland has had a very colorful first 25 years and promises even more excitement in the future.
It was fantastic.
There you go. A lot of interesting changes going on at the Ackland. Thank you very much, Dori Pense. Well, Homecoming 83 was special for UNC this year, but as comic Jim Dellinger shows us, homecoming is more than just the football game.
Yes, homecoming. To thousands of stout-hearted Carolina fans, it means football, cheerleaders, and lots of enthusiasm for our university. We thought we'd take a quick look at all the fun festivities that go into homecoming here at Carolina. The Homecoming Parade. Nearly the entire town of Chapel Hill is crowded into Franklin Street to pay tribute to the University of North Carolina. As you can see right behind me, they're coming. Yes, these are the men who wear white shirts competition. Isn't it impressive? I knew you would be. Every homecoming parade has its own theme. This year's theme is Aviation in America. At last minute's notice, popular commentator Woody Durham was able to come up with this entry. Attaboy, Woody. This is, you go along with the aviation experiment, I guess.
Yes.
What's your name?
Jenny Wren.
Jenny Wren. Jenny, what, did you decide to just dress normally, or did you want to wear something unusual for the parade?
This is my everyday attire usually.
Everyday attire usually. Find that hard to believe, Jenny. What, you have, I noticed you have this little device here. Is that anything in particular?
Just plays the fight song when you mash a button, or you can talk through it.
Okay, so did you like do a lot of comparison shopping to get that, or could you play a little bit of that for us? I think, do they have one that says that says go to Hell State on it? No. I guess everyone wants to get into the act. From the extravagant fraternity floats to the simple majesty of this entry from the Chapel Hill Transit System. Marching bands are always a parade favorite. This one from NC State is impressive, but not to be outdone are our own marching Tar Heels. Look at that precision timing. You know, it goes to show that there's much more to marching bands than snappy uniforms. You can just feel everyone's hearts swell with Carolina pride. Yes, it's easy to see where those Rams Club dollars are going. Looks like the parade action will never cease. Let's see what else is happening around campus. Hey, what homecoming would be complete without a pre-game picnic? Now, just looking at what you've got here, you've decided to bring a picnic lunch with you. Now, do you feel it's a better homecoming game if you bring a picnic lunch with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, rather than getting the standard hamburgers. Or did you make that, or?
That is homemade, and we're going.
That's homemade. Who contributed with the food?
We need Charlie.
Now, what specifically? Yeah, what specifically were you in charge of? Were you in charge of the paper bags or the grapes, or
primarily the chicken and the barbecue?
Charlie, you were telling me just a second ago that you were actually a Carolina graduate.
That's correct.
You majored in marketing.
That's right.
Which is why you were in charge of the food, were you?
Right. I went to the market for it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is funny, Charlie. Let's see just how many fun things we can find before the game starts. We're here in front of Keenan Stadium with Stephen and Jason, who are one of the many pamphlet sellers. Could you tell me a little bit about what's in the pamphlets?
Well, it's mostly statistics of the teams, and they have the team rosters and different articles about sports events that have happened in the past week or so.
Okay. Do you find a lot of people ask for comics in the back of that, or?
No, there aren't any comics in there.
There are no comics. Do you have no activity sections, I guess, for the little children who are bored with the game, or?
No, none of those either.
Okay. What type of person buys this?
Well, usually a person who likes to be updated with the football team, and there's a few pictures that are nice to look at, too.
Okay, no naked women or anything filthy?
No filthy.
Okay, if someone asked for one of those, could you get them one with naked women in it, or?
Not that I know of.
Okay, that's too bad. Now you're his helper, I guess. What's your role in this partnership?
I just go around saying programs for him.
Okay, so he's kind of your voice. Okay, that's very good. Well, gentlemen, we have someone running us over. Let's interview this guy right here and see what he.
Yes.
Why made you buy a program today?
Well, actually, we're not going to buy them. This is Pete Kamiga, Martin Brzezemski, the Laveau twins there. We've got the whole rest of the program, see?
Oh, you have the rest of their program. This is here we're seeing an actual delivery of programs.
Exactly.
This is, you can see this many times on the Wild Kingdom special. This is one of the after-night nature shots. As the fans file into the stadium, I begin to realize that people are here for more than just football. Hi, we're here at another one of these fond merchandising gala events outside of Keenan Stadium. I'm speaking with Ray Smith, who sells the Carolina merchandise. Ray, how long have you been doing this?
We do it about every year.
You do this about every year, that long. Tell me, what type of person buys this paraphernalia?
Just about anybody that's a Carolina fan.
Anybody that's a Carolina fan. Do you notice any type of merchandise going before anything else? I mean, is there a popular favorite?
Depends on the weather. If it's real sunny, the hats and the visors go. If it's cold, the shirt and sweatshirts and so forth.
Now, I noticed because of Carolina Blue, you sell a lot, like you sell the cute little rams there. Now, those are adorable. Does anyone mistake those with the Smurfs or ask for those little figures, or you just deal specifically with the Tar Heel?
Just specifically the Tar Heel.
Okay, so the blue doesn't make any difference then. Here at the game, merchandising runs rampant. We have two young businessmen here who sell popcorn. What's your name, sir?
Jerry King.
Jerry King, and what is your name?
James King.
James King. You, I take it you were brothers, or okay, that would follow. How long have you been doing this?
For 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks. And what do you find that people like about the popcorn?
Buttered popcorn.
They like the buttered popcorn. And do you have a butter dispenser, or does it come prepackaged that way?
It comes like that.
Do you think it makes a better game if it's buttered, or?
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter about the game. What type of person buys popcorn?
The kind that likes butter popcorn.
The kind that likes butter popcorn. That would also stand to reason. The band's on the field. The stadium's filled with fans. The game's about to begin. But something inside me tells me to search for the true meaning of homecoming. Another merchandising marvel here. We have Lane and Lori, as I read their name tags. What is your position here at the game? What do you do?
We sell balloons for the Sweet Carolines.
For the Sweet Carolines. So how long have you been doing this?
3 weeks.
For 3 weeks. So you're used to the ins and outs, I guess, by now.
Getting used to it.
Okay. Do you find that on like a breezy day you ever lift off, or?
No, but it's really hard to keep them all straight. Mine have been knotted up all day.
It's hard to keep the balloons straight. Do people ask for specific colors, or?
No. Oh, well, the only thing that's different are the ribbons, so.
The ribbons are different, but that doesn't make any real consumer difference, though, I guess.
No.
Okay, so the people, what type of people buy balloons?
Everybody. Kids buy a lot. A little girl just bought 24 from me a few minutes ago. And
24 balloons?
Mm-hmm.
I think she was above the bell tower last time I saw. You guessed it, hot dog sellers. I guess you could tell by the coolers that they have. Now, your name is?
Heather.
Heather, and you are?
Kirsten.
Kirsten, how long have you been selling hot dogs here?
2 years.
2 years. And can you not find your way out, or do they just leave you locked in for?
No, we usually get out sometimes.
You get out sometimes, but you've been selling off and on, I guess, for 2 years. Now, these are attractive uniforms you've got. Did they supply you with these, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are called, is there a technical name for them, or?
No.
Bibs, I guess, change bibs. Now, what makes you volunteer for this? Are you doing this for yourself or for an organization?
We're Girl Scouts, and we get money off at the end of the year trip that we go on. Hopefully we'll be going to England this year.
Well, that sounds interesting. Do you do this as a year-round project at all the sporting events, or?
No, just football games.
Just football games. Now, what makes you sell these in the coolers? Is there any particular reason for that, or is that a state law for sanitary reasons, or?
Just keeps them warm.
It keeps them warm. Here is Brett Young, a Chipwich seller. Now, I don't know what homecoming would be complete without Chipwiches. Brett, how long have you been selling Chipwiches?
Well, today's my first day.
It's your first day, so did you put a lot of decisions into this as to what you wanted to sell here?
Well, I'm helping out my school to get fundraising for the football team.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the best way you figured you could do it?
Yes.
Okay, so they just signed you. Did they sign you any particular Chipwich box, or?
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay, what do you plan on doing? This is for the football team, you say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what school would that be?
Jordan High School.
Jordan High School. Do you know anything specifically about what goes into Chipwiches? They've always been a favorite of mine.
Well, they're ice cream sandwich type cookies, and they're delicious.
What type person buys a Chipwich?
Somebody in crave for ice cream, I guess.
For ice cream, that would stand to reason. What do you feel that it makes a better game if you have Chipwiches?
Definitely.
Okay. What are they going for? What's the going rate?
It's $1.
It's $1. Now, not to accuse you of pocketing anything, but I mean, do you think some of the guys here ever pocket a little bit of the money, or?
No, I think it all goes into the Jordan, because they probably more school spirited and would want it all to go into the school.
So I guess you don't think the school officials are pocketing anything. I think it's all pretty much on the level
I think it's pretty much on.
No Chipwich slush fund, I guess. Nothing compares with that halftime pageantry. But no one's really paying attention to any of that, so why don't we slip away and speak with Mr. Woody Durham up inside the action-packed press box. It's kind of been bugging me. We've been asking people around the game, do you feel that chipwitches make it a better game for you?
Oh, definitely. The only problem we have with doing play-by-play is you don't get too many of them. That's why I'm looking forward to my retirement.
Right. Now, I know they've got the hot dogs and things up here, but you don't get a lot of the chipwitches, so definitely, if you guys could get it catered up, maybe we could get a petition started to send that up.
Well, as heavy as some of these sports writers are, you would think they get a lot during the game, but no, you're right. Just hot dogs and Cokes.
Hey, that second half starting up. I guess we better get back down where the action is, huh? Yes, this year's homecoming is a little bit different. We're having a Dustin Hoffman Look and Act Alike contest. We're speaking with the winner of this year's Homecoming Queen event. Your name is Your Mama?
Yeah, that's correct.
It's silent E and not Urine Mama, I guess.
It's just Your Mama.
Just Your Mama. These are lovely roses that you had here.
Well, thank you.
Did your dad get these for you, or is it?
These were presented on the field as you know, showing that I won the homecoming parade.
What exactly made you decide to enter?
Well, I was pretty much just asked to do it. I really thought I had absolutely no chance of winning SRC, which is Scott Residence College, and then now this is just icing on the cake.
So this is just another case of the American story of the success in that dream.
Well, you can only think that this could happen in America. No other country in the world will allow this to happen.
After this, all of the brouhaha is over here, will life go on pretty much as usual for you?
It should. I'm going to grow my mustache back and change my wardrobe.
And change your wardrobe. Now, this is your date here. If we could speak with him for just a second. Are you actually her date, or are you just her escort?
No, I'm just her escort.
Just her escort. Now, what's your relationship?
Roommate and friend.
Roommate and friend. But I guess times are more liberal now that we're able to accept.
Well, when we were in middle school, we couldn't have done this in the 5th, 6th grade. But now that we come to a liberal college, we feel that we were able to pull this off. And thank the Lord it was successful.
You know, a good way to beat the heat of the day at the homecoming game is to sit under someone's large cowboy hat. I'm speaking with the mic man at the homecoming game. Now, you're this year's new mic man.
Yeah.
Okay, do you go by just Mike, or?
No, I go by Kenneth Ward, actually.
Okay, for short, I guess. Kenneth, what imposed you, or what inspired you, rather, to be a mic man?
I usually saw the mic man up here acting crazy and everything, and it was something I knew I could do. And furthermore, I just enjoy doing things like that.
So, do you think that you're as funny as last year's mic man?
Well, I don't really compare myself, but I think I'm one of the best mic mans that I ever have.
So you're mostly going from your own motivations rather than from him?
Yeah.
Okay. Will life go on for you pretty much after this is over with?
Very much so, because I'm a senior and I'll really be looking for a job next semester.
Do you think this will be impressive on a resume?
Hopefully it will, and I've been meeting a lot of people, so I'm sure that'll help too.
One of my favorite interviewing techniques and just talking around to the people I've found is a way to just sort of break up the monotony and slip on a little hand puppet when we're talking to the people. Yeah. So do you think today's a good game?
The game is really boring, and the crowd is even more boring than the game.
And do you think that chipwitches make it a better game?
Probably.
Okay. Now, a question about football itself. Do you think that chipwitches make it a better game?
I definitely think they make it a better game, man.
I know they hand out Gatorade in the Pro League, but we're still college. We're not quite pro. We have a lot of very good players here, but I understand next year they're thinking of actually handing out the chipwitches to the guys on the field. Do you think that would be a good idea?
I think it'd be a great idea. I mean, we're definitely one of the, probably the flagship of the institution, so who knows, maybe the people at State, ECU will be handing out chipwitches to their players also. So as Carolina goes, so goes the system.
So someday we can work our way up to Gatorade then, I guess.
Someday to Gatorade, maybe even to Pepsi.
Covering all grounds here today, we have the distinguished Dr. Friday. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, we're way ahead. I'm glad to say we're doing better.
It's a good game, you think?
Yes, I do. They're playing very well right now. They lagged a little earlier, but they're coming on very strong now.
Now, do you think, this is a question about football itself, do you think chipwitches make it a better game for the players?
Well, I agree with Woody Durham, yes.
So it builds enthusiasm.
Anything to keep this team spirit up like it is. It's great out here today.
Okay. Now, a favorite, we've been using this a little bit earlier, a favorite interviewing technique of mine is to slip on a little hand puppet and kind of breaks up the monotony of an interview. So do you think that Carolina is going to win this game today?
Yes, but is he a cousin of Kermit's?
Yeah. I know it seems like it's hardly begun, but the festivities are rapidly drawing to an end. Well, game's over. Final score, 51-20. We have a dejected team here, but we're going to ask them a few questions about the game and see what they thought. Do you think it was a fair game?
Yeah, I think it was, but bless him. No, we just needed one thing. I think it really would have helped a lot.
What would that have been?
Chip witches? Chip witches.
The chip witches. Well, there you have it. I think we have a lot of evidence here today we've compiled about the chip witch controversy. Not something we started out to prove, but we stumbled upon it through investigative journalism. Well, it's been an exciting day. Final score, 51-20. Now comes the time to reflect, a time to look back upon the day's achievements. It's been a day of football, a day of team spirit, a rousing day for the University of North Carolina, but mostly, it's been a day of controversy.
Chip witches? Chip witches.
And that's homecoming, 1983.
Well, I hope everyone had as much fun as Jim Dellinger at this year's homecoming. We're about all out of time here. Those of us at STV would like to thank those of you at home for tuning in, and we hope to bring you many more shows like this in the future. Thanks again, and good evening.